Hi everyone, welcome to Alpha Art Gallery's artist interview series. My name is Siyu Wang, and today I'm joined by artist Kay Kenny, whose works were exhibited at Alpha Art Gallery's 2024 photography exhibition, The Art of Perspective. Kay Kenny is a painter, photographer, a longtime photography teacher at New York University, and an art criticism writer for arts magazines on visual arts. This is Kay's third time featuring her works at the New Brunswick Art Salon, and we are very lucky to have her again this year. Thank you for joining me today, Kay. Before we go to talking about your art, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine, and it's a gorgeous day, and spring has come, and I'm very pleased to finally get to talk to you about this.
Okay.
Um, so you had some questions here, and you were curious about the works that I submitted for this exhibit. The work that I put into this show was called The Lips of the Sea, and the reason was because it was right on the edge on a low tide in California on this wonderful, perfect, gorgeous day. And I just went out there and started photographing. And unlike most of my work, this was very straight on. I didn't have to do a thing, just photograph what was there. No post-production efforts whatsoever. So one of the things that was really amazing about it was how clean everything was. And with all the talk about environment and terrible plastics and everything else in the ocean, to see this collection of shells and plants growing in the ocean in this beautiful crystal clear water, it was so inspiring. And I was thinking about how important it is to keep this going. So that's where this work came from.
Wow, thank you. And I see that you've covered like the marine themes like you mentioned, but mostly focusing on the objects or creatures in the shallows. So what ideas are you trying to convey through this perspective, or like what inspired you?
Well, the glorious thing was that I didn't have to do much. Nature did the job herself. And the shapes, the abstract quality of the shapes, the textures, and the beautiful colors as a result of being in the water itself were so inspiring. And of course, I'm an avid gardener, and nature, plants, animals, all of that is terribly important to me. So I don't live next to the ocean, and this was an opportunity to see the most amazing, strange shapes and shells that were there. And the result of that was that I moved on. When the pandemic hit, I started going into my own garden and photographing from the ground up. Instead of photographing down the way we normally do when we're photographing plants, as I did with the sea stuff, I put the camera quite literally on the ground and photographed up. And that was just definitely connected to the kind of quality of shapes and colors that I was seeing in these sea images.
Wow, thank you. And all three of your exhibitions with us have shown the nature from your perspective on different levels, like you mentioned. But at the same time, you have emphasized the color. Do you think it's like a conscious effort on your part about the color?
Color is very important to me. I started out as a painter, as an illustrator, and of course, color was always monumentally integral to everything that I did. But oddly enough, recently I started moving back to black and white.
Mm.
And that has everything to do with, I had to teach a photo history class, and I was teaching about the history of photography, beginning with the beginnings of photography, that is way back in the 19th century and earlier, and then moving into the 20th century, just before we hit digital. And when I'm looking at this beautiful, wonderful, glorious, straightforward black and white work, I became pretty inspired by it. I started moving to working with black and white again. So I go back and forth. And black and white has a whole different feeling to it. It's immediately you think vintage. And of course,
Yeah.
I was inspired by vintage, by all these
Yeah,
great photographers from the past.
that sounds very interesting. I was just gonna ask you about like, have you explored any new directions in your photography during the COVID time? So I guess maybe the black and white. And is there anything more you want to share with us?
Well, I can show you one of the black and white books.
Wow.
This is it.
Wow.
And it's a series of images. I can actually share my screen if you want to see them better, but essentially this is what it is. And what you're seeing here are photographs that I've taken in black and white. And then next to them are film strips. The film strips are from the movie Last Year at Marienbad. And that's a classic art film, French art film. Alain Resnais was the director and or the writer. And the whole series, the words are mine, but the whole series is about this couple in a very, very strange place, trying to figure out what their relationship is, what is true and what is not true. And so I wrote a very similar story about romance and juxtaposed it with the Last Year Marienbad film strips. So that's essentially what I've been doing recently.
Those look amazing. Do you have any like idea or like a new like a shooting capture, like any new ideas about like in which way you want to express the love in your camera or in your from your lens?
Well, I'm not quite sure. I might go back to walking around and doing urban photography, which I haven't done in a while, which is a whole different kind of experience at night. That's the critical thing. A lot of photographs that I've taken in the past, urban night photographs, have been in industrial sites. And it's a whole different feeling to it. You have a sense of isolation and the sense of urban destruction, so to speak, as things decay. But at the same time, you have these wonderfully abstract shapes and forms, like the sea pictures, and in some ways, that are available through the lighting that's there already. But the interesting things like the sea pictures is that these are very transitory pictures. That is, one of the values of photography is it's capturing a moment that may not come again. And all of these urban images, a lot of them have gone. The sites where I photographed are gone. They're history, just like those sea creature images were washed out with the next tide.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the critical things about photography is that capturing that moment, that in-between moment, but from what was before and what will happen afterwards. And so that's what I'm probably going to continue to work with for a while.
Wow, that sounds very good. Do you have any specific direction or expectation during the urban field like you want to capture in the future?
Well, I'll probably go back to working with some books again and writing. I want to continue to work with that. I started doing a lot of writing, a lot of fiction writing, actually, and now I'm thinking in terms of making images that go with the fiction stories, which are all about animals, by the way.
Okay.
So essentially, that's what I'm going. And you know, lots of times it's all about playing. I want to go back into New York, for instance, and just do a walkabout, which I do once in a while.
Wow. Okay, I think that's the answer for our last question, the future plans you want to share with the audience. So, as we wrap up our discussion, I want to extend my heartfelt gratitude for your time and openness in sharing our experiences and insights as a photographer. Your passion for your craft and the dedication to capturing moments in unique and meaningful ways have truly resonated with me. It's been a privilege to delve into the artistry behind your lens and explore the stories behind your captivating images. Thank you for offering us a glimpse into your world and the beauty you create through the photography. I look forward to seeing more of your incredible work in the future and wish you continued success and inspiration on your creative journey. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Thea.